Hi, and welcome to the CSE Innovations Highlights podcast. This is our monthly podcast taking a look at the Zscaler release notes and picking out any features that have been added that are particularly relevant from a security and quality of life perspective. This month, joining me, I have Abe.
Howdy.
Hey, Abe, thanks for being on, and Dustin.
Hello, hello.
Thank you, Dustin, for joining us. As usual, my guests have picked out a number of features that they think are interesting to talk about this month. So, without further ado, I think, Dustin, you have the first feature, which is the ZIA feature. So, if you want to go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, so we have a bit of a transformative change to insight logs. I know historically it's kind of been a little bit of a pain point. We've done some, had some recommendations around how to run insight logs with the understanding that if you run a full month of logging at once, multiple filters, this can take a really long time. Most of us have learned how to get around this running, smaller amounts of time when you run those insight logs or decreasing the number of filters. So the cool thing about the improvement to the insight logs is you can now run those in the background. So you can continue forward with your administrative tasks without having to stay on the insight log screen. This will allow you to not terminate the query that you're running. And you can still do things like exporting up to 1 million records to a CSV file, viewing up to 25,000 records directly in the portal. You can specify custom names for the downloaded CSVs for better organization. The only real limitation to this in terms of usability is only one asynchronous query can run at a time per admin. And only the user who initiated that query can view the results on the screen or access the downloaded file afterwards.
That is still vastly better than what we had before. So, I have fond memories of sitting there waiting for Web Insights to spit out some data that I was trying to fetch and having to sit there and wait for 20 minutes or an hour, depending on how much data I was fetching.
Oh,
So,
yeah, we all do.
good improvement. And then I think the next feature we have is a ZPA feature, and AB, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, so this one, basically we've added the ability to control VPN for legacy apps. So think of, when using ZPA for server initiated traffic, think your things like active FTP or DCOM traffic. In the past, we weren't really able to add access control policies on that. With this new update now, we can finally control access to said applications or said server traffic, but it is much more like a firewall policy in that those controls and policies are essentially five tuple, right? Source, destination, IP address, ports, and protocol. And that's about it. Like I said, simple feature.
Yeah, and that's going to be particularly useful for VoIP as well, right? I think that stuff like VoIP phones are something that people have been trying to run through ZPA for a little while, and that wasn't possible until now. So my understanding is that this new feature will allow you to go ahead and control those via ZPA. So a simple feature, but a good one to add. And then I think the last couple of features are DSPM ones. So Dustin, I think that's you. If you want to maybe briefly mention what DSPM is before you explain the features.
Yeah. So DSPM is data security posture management. So this kind of runs in line with DLP. It is an additional add-on to like baseline DLP functionality with its own sort of module or tenant within the Zscaler platform. The cool thing that we're really adding here, AI is going crazy all across the world. We're keeping up with that trend and adding some additional threat categories to DSPM. So you'll be able to, moving forward, you'll be able to do things like scan AI models to identify vulnerabilities. Think, malicious code, backdoors, data leakage. Once again, in line with that DLP functionality. Some additional cool features are the ability to scan AWS ECR images. So those are like containerized machine learning workload images that are run in AWS. Also Azure AI agents and Google Cloud Vertex AI agents, specifically around who is gaining access to sensitive data, exfiltration opportunities, et cetera.
Cool, thank you. So additional security controls then for a number of AI models as part of the DSPM modules. So good ways to strengthen your controls around AI and AI applications to make sure that none of your data is being leaked by your users and no one is accessing that data. With that, I think that that is it for the features that we had selected this month. So a very short month, only a handful of features that were worth talking about. Abe, thank you for coming on and talking about your feature.
Thanks, everyone.
And Dustin, thank you for coming on and talking about your features.
Absolutely happy to be here.
And we'll see everybody in the next episode. Thanks all. Bye.